Yeah.
Okay, if everyone would please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. The Verona Board of Education passed a resolution of its annual reorganization meeting held on January 9th, 2018. The meeting set forth a schedule of its regular meetings, which resolution was within 7 days of passage. The schedule was sent to the Verona Cedar Grove Times, the Star Ledger, the Herald News, the Township of Verona, and the Verona Education Association. Postings of this meeting setting forth the time, location, and agenda were posted in each of Verona's 6 schools, the board office, and town hall. This posting was also sent to the above newspapers, all SCA presidents, and SCA liaisons. The Verona Board of Education operates under a consent agenda format. Any board member has a right to have an item pulled to be voted upon or discussed separately. Copies of tonight's agenda and resolutions have been made available to the public present. Mr. Day?
Here.
Mrs. Bernardino? Here. Mr. Elliott?
Here.
Mrs. Tresky? Here. Mr. Quattrochi?
Here. Okay, welcome to our second meeting for October. We have one presentation on the agenda tonight and one committee report and then our resolutions. Do we have any public comment or question on any agenda item? No? Okay, so let's do our presentation. That'll be Dr. Dionisio, our superintendent, on board goals and annual update.
Good evening, everybody. So this is our annual review and goals setting. So tonight I will provide a brief overview through this slide presentation of the 2017-18 school year and the strategies and objectives and how that related to our strategic plan. And in addition to that, we'll also have 2 goals that are board goals that are set for the board to acknowledge tonight, and that's for the 2018-19 year, also tied to our strategic plan. And tomorrow we will post this up on our district website and put it under the board page, so that way it's there for anybody to view. So we always start off with our mission statement. In partnership with a supportive community, we inspire our students to be creative, critical thinkers, and compassionate global citizens through dynamic teaching, meaningful curricula, and enriching experiences. And this is our new revised mission statement through our new strategic plan. Our core values are aligned to integrity and respect, creativity, passion, accountability, teamwork, resilience, and wellness. And these core values were established by committee with the strategic plan committee and the action teams of 75 plus members last year. Our strategies are centered around 6 main areas of focus. The first one is around our financial resources. Our second strategy is tied to a healthy and respectful school culture. The third strategy is our local and global partnerships with our local community and global community. Number 4 is to continue to focus, implement, and engage curriculum and meaningful experiences for our students. Our 5th area of focus is centered around providing staff development for our teachers and all of our staff to make sure that we have a continuous evolution with staff development. And last but not least, continuing to provide upgraded technologies and sustainable facilities for our students, staff, and the Verona community. So what did we accomplish in 2017-18? I'll take you with a brief overview of each strategy. First, through our finance committee, the board's focus through securing adequate financial resources. Ms. Nardino and I, with the board and finance committee, continue to support building the district operating and maintenance budget and seeking financial revenue sources. We enhanced, in partnership with the conference SCA, Harlem Wizards and Verona Food Truck Festival, which is a huge. There are 2 huge fundraisers for the district, now bringing upwards of $25,000 into the district. So a big thank you to all of our parents who make that possible. We have a number of grants that we've applied for, both administrative staff and our teachers. Some of those grants, partnership with VFE, the Verona Foundation for Educational Excellence. In addition, last year, Mr. Merkler and Ms. Nardino both received 2 separate grants from Investors Bank for $5,000 each in an effort to, with Ms. Nardino, upgrade the art display boards and Mr. Merkler to upgrade the athletic sound system on the upper field. And Ms. Nardino and the Finance Committee and myself have explored and taken advantage of financing and leasing options to really stretch the dollar and to extend it and going on to payment plans in order to sustain some projects and some resources, for example, technology for the district. On the fostering a healthy and respectful school culture, we have a number of different things that are has been really a focus for the past several years. First are 2 major action committees in the district, one on mental health and suicide prevention, the other one on our code of conduct and respect. We've talked a lot about that, and there's a lot of information that is up on the district website. It actually has its own page, so we encourage everybody to go there and take a look at those 2 action committees and the work that's come out of those committees, and how that's been tied to the mental health second question. We also have PBSIS, which is the positive behavior supports in schools. That's both at HBW and VHS, all focused on creating a healthy, positive school environment with our students and our staff. Been going very, very well this year. In its first launch year, with the first year of the launch with our students, last year was the building the capacity with our PBSIS teacher teams at HB and at VHS. I'm going to skip over to conflict resolution and peer mediation because we all know that that's happened, started at FN Brown School and now has expanded over the past several years to our other elementary schools. So that's a focus around a positive climate in our buildings and conflict resolution. We'll go back up to school security measures. We've taken a lot of steps in the past 5 years, not only in enhancing our facility space, but also in the staff development with our teachers, which is visible with what we just did recently in partnership with the Paramus Police, the Verona Police, the FBI on a staff development day in September to really support our teachers, our staff, our administration in being prepared, being proactive, and if needed, reactive to situations where we need to jump in and resolve matters. The house model was implemented back in the 2015-16 year at HBW, and that's been very, very successful. A lot of staff collaboration, but also an opportunity for teachers to work in teams, to share with one another best practices, and to also really get to create small learning communities within HBW, and to really address the needs of each individual child in a much more strategic, thoughtful, and caring way, and allowing teachers to work most effectively together in teams, which is where they find their strength. The VHS Fitness Center has been enhanced significantly. It's used now not only for the football program, but for all of athletics that coaches want to take advantage of. We also use it during physical education classes. We are exploring now enhancing and bringing even in more yoga. We have done some of that in our phys ed classes, and really just taking a look at entire mind, body, spirit, and really focusing on overall health and wellness for our students. And then last but not least, I'll leave the faculty advisory councils up there. I can also put on their ed council, and that's really a group of interested stakeholders as far as administrators and staff go in order to meet on a regular basis, both at the school level and the district level, to just have an opportunity for open dialogue and to share what's working well, what do we need to pay attention to. Partnering locally and globally, as we all know, we've talked a lot about strategic planning. We are now in the first year of the new 5-year plan, and this new iteration, which you'll see a lot throughout tonight. The board has had an opportunity to review it and participate in different aspects of that strategic planning, and we're very happy with the progress that was got us to where we are today and really helps us guide the work that we're doing each and every day and each and every year moving forward, and letting us set the course with our objectives. VPS Magazine, the Verona Public Schools Magazine, that is the 2nd annual publication. Not only was that the 2nd publication, but we were really proud of that this past year because our students really had a huge role in the design and the marketing and the development of that magazine along with our staff. And you'll see a lot of those articles are now shared through our communication with Constant Contact. And in addition to having it as a formal publication, we also send it out via email, so that way it's in smaller, more manageable chunks so people can read it and digest the wonderful things that are going on in the district. The expansion of the VHS capstone program has been tremendous. Mrs. Salisbury has done an amazing job. Last year, over 85% of our senior class was involved in capstone, and that is a significant, significant increase. She's been spending an incredible amount of time. The partnerships with students, both not only here in district with teachers and administrators, but also in other schools in district, in Verona community businesses, nearby communities, and even as far as New York City, where our students have really gained, as seniors, some really wonderful real-life experiences in the workforce, and be able to talk about those experiences has been wonderful. Last year, we spent a great deal of time exploring international travel for our students, where it would be something that is endorsed and supported by the district and the board at no cost to the district, but to at least create the vehicle, the avenue, the opportunities for our students to take advantage of that. And also for students to have fundraising opportunities where they can spend time over 2 years to build up their financial savings in order to perhaps go and take advantage of some of these travel experiences. So Ms. DeMayo here at the high school has been integral in that last year and also this year. And what we're doing is she's had some parent meetings, some student meetings, and we're hoping that this year becomes the first year of actually launching that as an official program. And that is also obviously tied to the strategic plan that we see before us here. And last but not least, the continuous development of the sensory rooms, not only at Lanning, but at HBW and throughout the district, in order to continue to expand those opportunities and developing those sensory rooms for our students and for our staff. On the curriculum instruction and assessment standpoint, we've talked a lot about over the years our reading and writing workshop model. That is the Columbia University Teachers College program. That's the program that was created and endorsed and supported by Lucy Calkins. That is a research-based program. It's been extremely successful across the entire country, and it's really sound educational literacy practices. And we're fortunate to have Ms. Studo, our elementary principal at Brookdale Avenue School, who she ends up spearheading the professional development with our teachers at the elementary level. And at the middle school, we've expanded the program. And at the middle school level, we have an outside consultant who's our resident expert right now. We hope that in the future, we can have somebody who's internal who would be able to step up into that role perhaps. And that's maybe down the line where we can explore that if we have that in-house. Orton Gillingham, we're on our second cohort. It's a 2-year program, partnership with Fairleigh Dickinson University. That's going extremely well. You see there are some new course offerings. It seems like every year we're always trying to bring on some new courses, revise, really take feedback from our students, see what the needs are, and adjust accordingly. So those were some of the courses from last year, as well as the revision and adoption of our preschool curriculum last year. We expanded the LLD special education classroom in the middle school to grades 7 and 8. A number of years ago, we didn't have LLD in the middle school. We only had it in the elementary school. So if a child needed those services, oftentimes they were going out of district placement because we didn't have it here. We developed a few years ago with Mr. Moriello, spearheaded where we developed it at grades 5 and 6 with the child study team and with our special education staff. Last year was the 7th and 8th grade, and now Mr. Moriello and team are focusing on building that at the high school as our students are aging up into our different schools. Math lesson study is around the rich math tasks. We have conflict resolution program was expanded to grade 5, and obviously the expansion of our walkthroughs where we're focusing on supporting our teachers with feedback around their lesson observations. And that's above and beyond what the minimum state requirement is with formal evaluations. On the professional learning front, once again, a lot of different things that we're doing, the action committees on mental health and code of conduct and respect, supporting our paraprofessional training program, the next generation science standards, providing support for our science teachers from a professional development standpoint, reading and writing workshop, math lesson study. We have book clubs and lesson studies and professional learning communities, our PLCs. The GCN training is the annual training that we have to do to make sure that our teachers are up to date. We have conflict resolution and PBSIS at both the middle school and the high school. And then last but not least, we have the upgraded facilities and technology. So we're fortunate to have a wonderful relationship with the township, with shared services. So we're always having dialogue, Matt Cavallo and I, the township manager, as to what are some things that the school district can do to enhance the relationship with the township, and what are some of the things that the township can do in turn to help out the school. So we, open up our schools to all of the recreation community programs. We allow for the use of our facilities. That costs us something because we have to staff the buildings. And in turn, the township has helped us out. So, I know I've recognized them publicly, but I'd just like to thank the township and Chuck Molinaro and crew again, and Matt Cavallo, for their support they've really taken on the maintenance of our lawn service at VHS, and that's made a tremendous impact in how the place presents and looks. It's never looked so amazing. So that really has helped us out significantly. Mr. Balaj with the security cameras, each year tries to buy a few more cameras, and based on the feedback from each of the schools, identify which areas to install those cameras in-house with Mr. D'Alessio and Mr. Higgins to really continue to enhance our security efforts. Continuing to look at our wireless access coverage, we always can add additional. I'm looking around the room here for the wireless access point. We have a wireless access point on the other side here, and we have one here as well, the Alcatel points, so that way we can get our wireless coverage. Upgrading our wireless bandwidth, really taking a look at how do we continuously strive to add more and more Chromebooks. And then last but not least, we have a number of facility improvements that we did do in-house this past summer. And I'd like to show that to everyone here, so you can at least see a few photos of the wonderful work that our custodial and maintenance staff did this past summer. So here we'll see, just a number of, just have a smattering of just repainting and resurfacing walls. This is the F.N. Brown nurse's office. The hallway over at Brookdale Avenue School, redone. This is here at VHS. We had a closet space here. It was more than a closet space. It was like a nook where there was a table and a working station. We needed that as storage for the other side's classroom. We opened up a wall, and then we made this and created a new Spanish classroom because we really needed to enhance that. So you'll see a few. We created a wall there. There's the addition of the actual wall, and then there's the finished product. So that's Mrs. Garson's room. She's got a nice big space there for her classes as well. We've refurbished as well the painting of the peeling bleachers, baseball bleachers on the lower field, I'm sorry. So each year we'll have to do some maintenance on that until the paint completely adheres to the cement. There are hairline cracks in the bleachers. That comes with the fact that we've got bleachers that are very, very old, and it's based on the shifting of the foundation, 30 or 40 feet below. But they're intact, they're in a good spot right now. These are the lower field restrooms. This was just a field house, which was storage. It was one big open room. We closed it off, where now we have a storage closet that's organized and two restroom facilities. One's a female restroom, one's a male restroom. We have 2 stalls in each with 2 sinks, mirrors, baby changing stations. So we added a few pictures here. Signage. Hillcrest Farms did some landscaping for us. We repainted the place. Added a water fountain to the outside. Added a new concrete pad for ADA accessibility. It's also ADA accessible inside. And you get to see our team did a wonderful job in pulling it all together. We outsourced the plumbing, and we did the construction work in-house. There's a baby changing station. You see a number of different photos here. And then most recently with the August storm, you remember hearing that Forest Avenue School had that deluge come down the hill. That's happened, and Mother Nature just does its job. And it essentially, the old retaining wall between the back of the school and then the playground ended up bulging out in a number of different areas. It was not a safety concern as per the contractors and engineers. However, we kept everyone off as a precaution. We ended up getting the 3 quotes, and we ended up rebuilding this wall. It had to get all dug out. So, that was a necessary upgrade, and there's another picture of that. And then we just have, looking at 17-18, is what we just went through, and now looking forward to the 2 goals for 2018-19. So the goals that I have proposed and the board has reviewed in advance for the 18-19 year is, number 1, as we've discussed, the district is in need of a capital improvement project, a new referendum to address the needs that were identified in a needs assessment probably about 15 years ago now at this point. Continuing to look at what our needs are, and we have a list that the Buildings and Grounds Committee has met with the architect, and we are working on that, and we'll be sharing the details of that as soon as we get it back from the architect with the full board, and we'll have discussions on that front. We anticipate at the earliest a September 2019 vote to the community. Prior to that, obviously, there's a lot of planning and educating the community on what our needs are, and we're working on that now. We hope to have some more resolution on that by January or February. And the second goal, as it carries over from year to year, is in our strategic plan with the 6 strategies, taking a look at what the current objectives are and identifying those 6 strategies, which we have, and then what are the areas that we're going to continuously focus on. So I will be sharing with the board, again, you received it a number of months ago, but I'll be sharing with the board the line item objectives that each of the action teams for the strategic plan created. And that's really essentially our checklist underneath each strategy as to what to focus on for the next 5 years through 2023. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. Backing up a little bit, you spoke about professional learning communities. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I remember one year I attended the convention, and I went to a forum on that. It was interesting. I didn't realize that we do that here.
So a professional learning community is just a general term that is used for staff members in the district to form a group to really focus on any issue. So for example, the rich math tasks would be a professional learning community. It's bringing people together around a specific theme and really studying that and discussing it and sharing it. You could consider the Orton Gillingham program a professional learning community. We have teachers who volunteer with administrators to partake in book club discussions. It's not required. But if they want to read, it could be a Joanne Bowler book on math, they could do that. If they wanted to read something on culture and climate, they could do that. On mental health, they could do that. So professional learning community is a loosely used term to be able to mean any group of people that come together.
And then the staff or faculty who participate in that, is that strictly voluntary? Is it by subject matter, or can an English teacher maybe who's interested in learning what's going on in the math department jump in a different group?
They could. They do tend to group together by department. For example, the rich math tasks or literacy focus, but it could, for example, be one around mental health. So you can have a book study, What Made Maddie Run, with Kate Fagan, that we've been working on, and having staff members kind of come together and discuss it, and discuss what they're seeing in school, what it means for them in their professional practice, and what we could do as a school in order to continue to focus on helping support our students moving forward. So that would be an example where you could have some cross-curricular connections between teachers from multiple departments.
And is there overlap too on multiple, the elementary school, middle school, high school teachers in different groups overlapping?
I'd have to think about that one. Right now, even when we do the rich math tasks, we tend to group our elementary math teachers together because of the age, and we do the same thing with our middle school. Aside from a focus on mental health or code of conduct, I can't really think of any topic off the top of my head where we would have teachers from multiple buildings.
I think that would be interesting, especially in terms of math, to have that vertical alignment, though, between the elementary schools to the middle school to the high school.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had a question, I saw you, PBSIS program, could you
Yes.
just give a little more details about that?
Yes, so the PBSIS program is the Positive Behavior Support in Schools. So the research is very dense and grounded in whatever we focus on as a group, if we're dealing with students, is the type of behavior you will get. So Positive Behavior Supports in Schools is a partnership where we applied for a grant out of the Action Committee on Code of Conduct and Respect. We applied for a grant with the New Jersey Department of Education about 1.5 years ago, and we received that grant at Verona High School and HBW, and that allowed us to partner up with Robert Wood Johnson Hospital and Rutgers University in this program where our teams of teachers and administrators work together to do a needs assessment of the building with the climate and culture and identify where our strengths are and where our areas for growth can be. And in turn, identifying positive behavior where the students are already conducting that in the building and then recognizing it. So there are a lot of activities that are taking place. It's about team building, positive environment, and it's all grounded in the research that if you're focusing on the positive things, behavior improves in a building. If you're focusing on saying negative things and saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, and there's no positive reinforcement, the behavior tends to deteriorate and it becomes very negatively driven. So Positive Behavior Support in Schools is taking place in its first year with our students at HBW and VHS. You may have heard at HBW, they have the HBW OWL. That's new. They created a mascot. They have all types of positive rewards that the students ended up receiving. It's by teams, it's by grade levels, there are competitions. So it's about developing and cultivating school spirit and maintaining a very positive focus on the things that kids are doing that are very positive and celebrating those things. And as you're doing that, it elevates the student behavior in the building.
Then, you said before we would adopt these tonight. Do we need to, there's no resolution?
There's no resolution.
We're just agreeing on it.
We're just agreeing on them.
Right, okay.
There's no formal resolution.
Facilities look great, all the upgrades and everything.
Yeah, I mean, with a limited budget, we could accomplish a few things. Just to put in perspective, that lower field house, that was just storage. If we were going to go out to do that through a referendum and go out to bid, doing those 2 restrooms would have cost the district $160,000. That cost us less than 20 to do both bathrooms. So it took us a little longer than we wanted to, but it saved the district $140,000. And with a lean budget, there are some concessions that we have to make in order to do that. We do a great job internally doing renovations of bathrooms and facilities. It's just a matter of, do we have enough manpower? So we need the staffing in order to be able to do that kind of work. And we also need to have the funding in order to be able to do that. So there's only so much that we can accomplish. But we have a couple of areas of focus that through the B&G budget, we want to continue to move the place forward. It's just going to take us a little bit longer than we would like, but we have to be patient. Okay? Right, thank you.
Do you have a superintendent's report?
I do.
Keep going. Just in a different spot.
Should I say good evening again? Or?
Yes.
Okay. I promise to be brief. Ms. Nardino always laughs at me when I say that. I just want to recognize the VHS Band. VHS Band Festival had a tremendous turnout on Saturday. I was fortunate to come here with my wife. We watched some of the performances. Just the way our students interact with the other schools is just so positive. Mr. Lynch and team do an amazing job. It would not be possible without VMPA, all the parents who made it possible, all the work behind the scenes. It was terrific. And cherry on top, Verona High School marching band took first place in the AAA competition division on Saturday as well. So congratulations to them. They did a terrific job. On the athletic front, a lot to report because it is the end of the season, so there are a lot of things to celebrate. Volleyball, 3-peat as county champions. They won the American Division Conference. They earned the #1 seed in the state tournament as well, and they're in the second round tomorrow versus Highland Park.
Is that, how much is that game?
That's home.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm going to guess 4, but don't hold me to it. It should be on the athletic schedule. It's home because we have home field advantage because we're the #1 seed. Football, we finished a strong 6-2, and we earned a #2 seed in the state playoffs. We host this Friday night at home, 7 p.m. game against Dumont High School. Girls soccer finished the regular season 7-6-2. Very, very tough schedule, very tough competition that they played against. They actually played today at 2 p.m. The way the games are scheduled this time of year and availability of officials, they're in the state tournament. 2 o'clock game they had today against Beckton Regional. They beat Beckton today 5-0. And then they play the second round on Friday against the winner of Dover Morris Tech. Location to be determined. Don't know who won Dover Morris Tech yet. Boys soccer won the county county tournament game before bowing out to West Orange. If you follow soccer, West Orange is a powerhouse in soccer, so there's no shame there, and they lost with penalty kicks in the quarterfinals. And they lost their state game yesterday. Boys cross country took 3rd at the Greystone Invitational. All 8 runners medaled in the class meet for Essex County. They finished top 10 in the county at Essex County Championships. The girls cross country team also won at Greystone Invitational, and they came in 2nd at the SEC Championship meet. And tennis advanced to the state semifinals. They won their senior day match versus Bloomfield. Just like to mention that on the academic competition front, lots to celebrate as well. We had Julia Harth and Mr. Atkins, both the middle school and the high school STEM teachers, programs that did not exist 4 years ago. And they are doing amazing, amazing work. Our kids are doing tremendous work. So let's start off with Mrs. Harth first. Mrs. Harth, actually, I think she's in her 4th year right now. And she's doing, the number of kids participating in this are incredible. So last year, 2 teams of students went down to NJIT for a STEM challenge. They actually called it the Steam Tank Challenge. Picture Shark Tank, but around engineering and design for our students. So they went down to NJIT. One of those groups ended up advancing to go to the New Jersey School Board's convention. And they were down and they competed there. Really impressed the judges. We don't know the outcome yet, although we know that they impressed the judges. They were actually supposed to find out today where they ranked and if they placed. There is a monetary reward. It's a $2,500, I think $1,500 and $1,000 for the teams that win. Our students who won or who got to New Jersey School Board's Steam Tank Challenge, what they did was they had what's called doodle glass. So picture eyeglasses, and it's the type of design idea where if you wanted to go buy your own eyeglasses, you can just show up. You could design your glasses yourself, the shape, the color, the design. You could do it, think about, laser cutters and building it yourself, and then you could purchase them yourself. And that really, really impressed the judges, and their presentation impressed the judges. So no announced winner yet. We're waiting to hear back. So as soon as I know, I'll forward that off to the board so you're aware. You all know what pumpkin chunkin is because Mrs. Harth has been doing that for years at the middle school. At the high school, Mr. Atkins started that as well, in addition to many other projects that he's done. They've built these very, very elaborate trebuchets, these catapults at the high school. If you've never seen a trebuchet, Google it. The size of these, they're actually in the wood shop.
Okay.
And they have these huge arms, and they're just launching pumpkins. And the idea is you go out to a field, and it was down at Rowan University. There were about 20 schools, both high schools and colleges, universities, and we ended up winning.
Wow.
Our kids did a great job. You had to not only launch it as far as you could, so picture longer than a football field, and picture different areas where you got a lot of points for launching it really far, but you also got points for launching it in specific locations. So accuracy matters.
How did they transport?
I was just gonna move this
Van.
down to, oh, okay. They put it together there.
Yes.
I was looking at the video.
Mhm.
It was so crazy.
And they did an amazing job. I was actually talking to Mr. Atkins in the hallway with one of our students, and they were also excited about the competition, where Mr. Atkins is actually considering he'd love to host one in northern New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
So I had mentioned to him that if he can kind of work on that, Mr. Miller and I will reach out. I can contact perhaps Joe DiVincenzo, the county executive, and maybe use one of the county parks, like South Mountain Reservation. They have a lot of fields there, especially over near McClune's in West Orange. They do the archery. Perhaps we could use a space like that. To give you a sense of how far these pumpkins get launched, one of them was launched 400 feet. Now, to put that in perspective, that's longer than our football field, right? That's how far they're launching pumpkins. So, did a great job. Great job. It's longer.
Red Sox fan.
The short fence. Short fence. Short fence. And then last but not least, I just wanted to, and I sent out a press release on this a few days ago. I was contacted on Thursday. I had no idea this was coming by College Board. And College Board oversees SATs, PSATs, advanced placement exams. Obviously, we know the work that we've been doing with PSATs, SATs, and advanced placement for the past 10 years or so. When I received this report, I found it intriguing because of the data that was on there, and then started to sort it. And when you start to sort it based on some of the major categories, it was very clear that Verona High School has really just jumped off the paper as to how we're doing. It's a testament to the hard work of the leadership team, the support of the Board of Education for the past 10 years, and the commitment, the incredible dedication of our teachers, very talented, constantly professionally developing. Our students, you know, I always say they're intellectually curious and highly motivated. We went from having 5 or 7% participation years ago to 20, and now it's nearly 1 in every 2 students is taking at least one AP course at the high school within the 4 years. This year alone, we have 47% of all of our students taking at least one course. And that's a testament to the students feeling like they can take risks and they're supported by the staff. And it is hard work, but there are a lot of entry points into some rigorous coursework. And we're very pleased that we're in the past, for example, 3 years, we're able to increase participation from 20-something%, I think it was 24%, now we're at 47 or 48%. Most people would think, well, you're gonna open up even more with the open enrollment, and that means your performance is going to go down. But Verona High School for the past 10 years has actually shown the complete opposite. Performance has actually gone up. And I'll just read a couple of statistics that actually proves that point. In the state of New Jersey, we're number 2 in overall participation. There's only 1 high school ahead of us. In addition to that, if you take a look at the top 30 schools, number 2 school is Bergen County Technical, which is Bergen Academies.
Yeah.
To give you a sense of what Bergen Academies, fantastic school, talented teachers, talented kids, but Bergen County Academies actually is able to recruit through a selection process. It's almost like a public, it's a public school with private selection. Students enroll. We don't have that in Essex County, where they're able to take some of the best and the brightest from each of the schools around the entire county, right? So we come in number 2, and then if you take a look at the top 30 schools, I would say at least 20 of them are highly, highly affluent, a lot of resources, and we obviously know our resources here, and I think our Board of Education and our teachers do an incredible job, and our counselors and our administrators do an incredible job with what we have, and we're really doing it on all different levels now. If you look at our comp group, we're number 1 across the board. And then I took a look at how we rank in the state. We're number 1 across the board in all 3 of these categories. Rank and growth of testers, the number of kids growing in the past 3 years. The rank and growth of exams. And the rank within our comp group. the rank and change in the number of AP courses offered. So in our comp group, we're number one in all categories by a huge margin. If you look at us within the state, we're number 20 in the state for number of increase in AP courses. That's the top 7% in the state. We're ranked number 31 in the increase in the number of testers, and we're ranked number 62, the top 22% in the increase in number of exams of our performance. So while we increased all of those metrics, our students and our teachers also did better job in the output. So it's just a testament to the incredible work that's going on in the school, and it's not just at Verona High School, it's the support of the elementary, the middle school, and the high school, because we know it really takes the entire community and all of the teachers' work and efforts before the students come to the high school, and then the efforts of our high school staff. So just wanted to acknowledge everyone and thank the Board of Ed for its continuous commitment to this effort.
I just want to say what an amazing vision from years ago. I remember sitting on the other side listening to almost a lot of pushback about, you know, the honors classes and opening up AP and this fear of what was going to happen, and it's amazing to kind of see the success that's come from that.
That was the latest Board of Ed meeting I represented, 13 years ago, or
But-
that night, people were just adamant that this was the wrong move. And we were here almost, after 12,
And look at it now.
people outraged.
It's amazing.
That we would keep doing this.
Well, there's another statistic that's difficult to get into the notes, but it goes like this, to Ms. Bernardino's point. So we started with a real focus on curriculum, K-12, somewhere around 2008, 2009-ish. It was when Earl Kim was leaving as superintendent, and what he left behind was the structure of how to tackle curriculum once and for all, K-12 and across the buildings where you have, you know, the elementary's diversity. And then we hired Mrs. Sampson as superintendent, and we brought in Liz Jewett to start to put the focus on that. So say 2009, if a child was in first grade in 2009, then they hit ninth grade in 16, 17. That's the year that this data is pulled. So if you were anywhere from first to fourth grade in 2009, you are a high school student, either 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade in that statistic. So for all that we did up at the high school, it really is a culmination of the reading program, the writing program, changes to delivery of courses, changes to the courses offered, especially at the middle school. There's a lot of change in that period of time. So it really is a culmination effect too. You know, the opportunities, we incorporated a lot. We eliminated the barriers. We shuffled we shuffled the course catalog, etc. And the second statistic that's buried in there is they also report the number of courses that you currently offer, APs, at the high school, and the number that you've increased in the last 3-year period. Okay? If you looked at those two numbers in our comp group, 7 of the comp group schools are in the top 50 or something like that. I didn't have the time to look past that. We're one of the 7, right? With the highest of the 7, of course, because we're at the top of the comp group, in the percentage of students that participate. Of the 7, only three districts have more AP courses that we offer, but less participation with more courses, right? And the rest of the field, the other 3 plus Verona, have the same number of AP courses, again, with less participation. So what that does, and if you look at the data across the 300 odd, almost 300 high schools, there is a extremely loose correlation in the number of courses you offer after a certain point and participation. It's not always the case that the more courses you offer, the greater, it doesn't scale that way.
Which is why we rotate.
After a
so
certain-
don't we?
In some cases.
In some cases, we do. And we actually still have, just when you thought, well, maybe we're at saturation point, we are looking at the interest from our students, and we still have demand. So for example, this year, we could have at least run one more AP Human Geography class, what the kids call HUG, with Mrs. Wallerstein. She does a tremendous job. Kids love the class. It's interesting. It could be opened up to 9th through 12th grade. And just because of budgetary reasons, we decided we couldn't do that for this year. And the students were young enough where they can get that class next year. But there's a demand there where that could run every year. Psychology is another class. You know, we're getting some feedback that perhaps econ, micro and macroeconomics, perhaps could run every year instead of every other year. We want to look at that and see what the interest would be. So we'll explore that this year, and we'll balance it all out.
And the trade-off is, you know, if you offer an additional course as opposed to an additional section of an existing course, right? Because if you did the former, you can drop numbers in other courses such that you may not be able to sustain the class. So you've got to be careful on adding additional courses as opposed to adding additional sections. That's the whole saturation.
John, just to piggyback a little bit on what you said, I just wanted to mention the fact that along with, you know, all the changes we made, we sometimes get pushback on our administrative costs, even though demonstrably we're pretty low in our comp group. But, you know, we brought in a curriculum director, we brought in area coordinators, and these results are really a testament to the work they do. And so when people say, well, do we need positions? Look what they're delivering. So.
Yeah.
That's who's managing this work. That takes a lot of effort
It takes a lot of effort.
and
It
collaboration.
doesn't happen by itself.
Yeah, you know, had he not left, this is something that Mr. Kim would have been in the middle of implementing, but Mr. Sampson was able to implement it very quickly because the last couple, I think it was the last 3 years, and the first year that Mr. Sampson was here, something like that, it took those years, one after another, of moving money around.
Moving it around, and it was
Until we
a
were able to pull the trigger on it.
effort
So it
to
wasn't
make
even
it
that you
happen.
woke up one year and said, let's go do it.
No, we had, you know, it was looking at the budget and
Yeah.
making cuts where we could in order to fund those positions. And it wasn't all at once, like you said, it was, we brought the curriculum director, then we brought the coordinators,
Right.
but now we're reaping the rewards of that.
So again, you know, the data is 2 years old, it's for the 16-17 data, not 17-18 data, which is consistent with the school report cards and all the other statistics, it's always a year behind. So it would be interesting to see if you looked at that with the most recent year or the coming year. But we probably are at a saturation point, and we probably will be tops in the state, maybe not quite that same percentage, it may go up and down a little bit, but
And the numbers do vary and fluctuate now within that range based on what the student interests are, right? So whatever students are more inclined to want to take is what will drive the schedule, as it always has been. So we expect that there's always going to be a little bit of fluctuation up and down, just like there is with our other courses, whether it's the graphics classes or our music classes. I mean, there's that variation in there, but testament to everybody working together, and these are the results that you get when it's all in sync.
So for next ed committee meeting, can we give me a little insight in what sort of standard do we have for 8th grade guidance entering the high school on preparing for course selection as it pertains to this? Once you're in the high school, then you have the high school counselor do it.
In eighth grade, we actually do have a counselor. So we actually in HBW are high school counselors who will have those students who are in 8th grade registering for their 9th grade classes. Our high school counselors will actually go and schedule days to be down there where the parents sign up. Parents and students meet with their new counselor, and then they will actually talk about their new schedule. So that's the introduction with their middle school counselor in order to get them involved in getting an identification of what they may be interested in
If you could get a
taking.
good sense of what that participation rate is, that would be
The participation rate of
good.
the,
Parents signing up for
it's over 90%.
that. Oh, is it?
It's over 90%.
Okay, great.
And that's huge. And then even at the high school, the percentage of parents signing up is over 90%. As you remember, a couple of years ago, we never did that.
Right.
It wasn't required.
That's another one of the wheels in the machine that we didn't do back then. You have guidance availability, but not necessarily structured in a way that incentivizes folks to come through.
Just while we're talking on ed committee, I am gonna be away next week, so next Thursday is ed committee, so if somebody else wants to slide into that. I think
You know
it's
what?
4 o'clock on
Let's move that meeting because next Thursday's teachers convention anyway.
Oh, okay.
So there's no rush on that meeting.
Oh,
The
okay.
board meeting won't be till the following
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday. So maybe we could schedule it
That week.
for maybe Monday or Tuesday. If that works with everybody's schedule, I'll send an email.
And while we're on the subject, can we send the packet home on Monday, the day before the board meeting? Since it'll be a short week.
Do not send it to my house. The last picture rained on, I won't be able to feel away, so. We may have some damp, purchase orders, because we were away for the night.
Okay, and I don't want them.
And I'll be away, everyone in our house will be away for like 5 days, so.
Okay.
Do not do that.
Retro-
Yeah. Oh, it would be anyway, the first November meeting we would get in.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can we do a finance committee?
Yeah, so Finance Committee did meet this week. We just had a couple issues to discuss. The first one was the flood insurance claim that Dr. Dionisio has already briefly mentioned. It is complete. Our total claim amount was $147,000, and we were reimbursed $109,000 and some dollars after that. But so the out of pocket was about $37,000 on that project. All considering that's why we have insurance, and the work on that has been completed as well. The second one is a little more complex. It's an issue that we had known has been coming for a long time, but now it's here. It goes back to the work from the last referendum. When we decided to, I was briefly on the board during that time frame, but when we were going out for the work at that time, there was state funding available, and we had the option of either doing debt service aid, which is what we did when we did the large one about 12 years ago, or to receive the money as a grant. This time around, we chose to receive the money as a grant. And what it is that districts are eligible to receive up to 40% of eligible project costs. And that means projects that were to be used to address health, safety, overcrowding, spaces, delivering district programs for disabled students or deliver full-day kindergarten. I'm reading off the state website right now, that's why I have that information available. And so any of those projects directly related to those issues, we could receive a grant of up to 40% of it back. And when the estimates were done, we sent the paperwork to the state based on what we anticipated the expenses to be. When we went out for bid, the bids for the eligible work came in lower than we had projected. On the opposite side of that, the bids for the work that was not eligible for grant money came in higher, and that was really related to the band room issues that we had with the soil and construction, as well as the kitchen. So what that means is that the state had promised us a grant of X amount. We're going to receive a grant of Y amount, and the delta between the two is about $200,000. At the same time, because we knew we were going to receive all the money at once, and we have to pay all these invoices from the people doing the work, we went out for a short-term note, and that short-term note to pay everybody while we waited for the grant money. That short-term note is now due, and so now we have, and we knew it was coming. So this is not a shock. It's not like, oh my God, what this happened. We knew the note was going to be due. We knew we had a shortfall because of the difference and all the things I just mentioned. So we have the issue of about $200,000. So what we're looking at now is that we have in capital reserve approximately $89,000 to spend over about 11 years that can only be used for certain things, such as this. So what we're recommending to do is use that $89,000 to first offset the $200,000. And we don't have the exact number yet, but it's roughly, right? Is there, for about $200,000. So use that $89,000, so that brings it down to about $110,000 problem. And as RD knows right now, meeting with our bond council to figure out how that we can finance paying that. So we have the ability to do that. So
And the other piece is too, they're going to be wrapping up the audit, and I actually called the auditor yesterday and asked her just to give me a preliminary number of what the excess surplus is, because you can all make a decision
we
to
want to
send
use
it
that.
back.
Okay.
Towards it too.
So we're looking at how to resolve this problem, but that's where we're at with it. And I'll say it again, we knew it was coming. It's just now that the notes due, we have to figure it out. Any questions? No. Good times.
Can you just, when you get a chance, can you send me for the referendum bonds outstanding? They have various maturities. Can you send me roughly what the principal was and each maturity date that we still have out there?
Okay.
I'll take a look at what the schedule is.
Yep.
Okay. we have any discussion on this? Okay, let's do a resolution. We have one agenda, right?
We do. Resolve that the board approve resolutions number 1 through 14 and addendum resolution 1.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Bernardino, seconded by Ms. Wrestler. Any questions or comments? Just one clarification, resolution number 4 on the calendar, Dr. Denicio, was simply to note the announcement of test dates in the spring that we got from the state, right? We talked about it previously, there's no other change to the days off, no change to the days.
That's correct. Correct.
Okay, let's go.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mrs. Bernardino?
Yes.
Mr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mrs. Fresky? Aye. Mr. Quattrochi?
Aye. And I'm sorry, I had one other question. It doesn't change my vote, but on the coaches that we appointed, the bunch of coaches, there's a couple of positions that are vacant, so we're appointing on the stipend amount, which are in contract, right?
Correct.
There were 3 vacancies coming up.
That's right.
Okay. Do you have any public comment or question?
Yes.
Some of you know me, some of you don't. My name is Stephen Mattia. My daughter cheers, well, did cheer for the Verona cheer team. I forwarded, CC'd Mr. Dinocio, and I emailed Mrs. Bernardino about how to go about this. I did email Mr. Cogdill, Mr. Merkler, and Mr. Lancaster over the situation. I'm better when I move around, it's okay.
But we do need you to record.
Is there a microphone?
Yeah.
This has been a situation that's been building for a few years with my daughter. At Foley Field a few weeks ago, there was a situation, excuse me. I apologize. Where they were supposed to perform. They had been working on a routine for weeks. And it was deemed by the coach that they weren't going to perform because there was some rain. Well, all the other teams were in the process of warming up for said routine for the showcase. So my daughter, who had the right intentions but just didn't handle it correctly because she's got an Italian temper like me, she was yelling and screaming, in which I told her to calm down. I didn't think she was handling it in the correct manner, but what she was trying to get across wasn't incorrect. At which point, after I got her calmed down, I walked up to where the coach was and the other girls, most of the girls I know since they're 4 or 5 years old. And I pointed my program and I said, why are we not performing? And I'm going to Merkler in the morning. And I walked away. Well, Mr. Merkler calling the next morning to tell me that I had been suspended for 30 days because whatever this addendum is in here, 3156, Code of Ethics, whatever it might be. Every time I tried to get a word in edgewise, Mr. Merkler would never speak. Again, I tried to ask him another question. He continued to talk over me, at which time I lost it, said a few things that I shouldn't have, which I want to apologize for. I brought up a couple of points within my email, and I think Mr. Dionisio saw them, about rides being given by the coach to certain team members, which I know is illegal against insurance rules. About certain team members that were in positions that they should not have been, where girls were getting hurt. Whether you think cheerleading is not an active sport, I remind you that these girls fly, they go 10, 12, 15 feet in the air, they tumble, they stunt, and some of the girls continually ask that certain girls not be in the positions they were in. Things never changed. When my daughter and certain other girls would mention that, they were going to say something, they would say, well, if you go to Merkle, you're going to be off the team. Don't think that's the way a coach should be acting. Now, as far as me being suspended, I think it's a joke, because maybe I didn't handle it correctly. You can go ask Coach Foster, my son wrestled here. You can go check with last year's swim coach. I've supported everything in this school since I've been here. My daughter has the opportunity to cheer in college. And if her scholarship money gets affected by any of this, you will not ever be blessed.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll close tonight's meeting. We have a public meeting on Tuesday, November 13th, with a confidential session at 6 and a public session following at 7 PM.
Okay, thanks.
Good night.